my friends. We're trying this again with the camera. I'm going to zoom in a little. And maybe, there we go. But, I mean, you're not going to be able to read the print. But I wanted to share something with you. So I'm still working through Genesis. And I found something interesting today about Genesis 24, Isaac and Rebekah. I'm in the NIV Bible, but whatever Bible you're in, the message is the same, right? I found it interesting. So this is a passage where Abraham sends his servant to go find Isaac a wife. And the interesting part about this, right, because we all know he goes to the well, he tells God, he prays, the servant goes, because Abraham doesn't want him to do it to find a wife among the Canaanites. He says, go back to my home, find a wife among my, my people, and bring her to us here. And there's that whole conversation. And I'm just going to fast forward to the most pertinent part. So the servant's sitting there at the well, and he prays to God about, the conversation. He tells God, okay, I'll know it's her she comes out and I say, hey, give me water. And she says, okay, but I'll water your camels too. I'll know it's her, right? And it says before he even finished praying, so verse 45, before I finished praying in my heart, Rebekah came out with her jaw on her shoulder. Okay, so the observation I have here is God answered prayer, right? But do you ever stop and think he answered this prayer long before the servant even prayed it, right? Because she had to get up in the morning, she had to put her shoes on, say goodbye to her family, and get the jar out. This is all happening before the servant's praying. And get the jar and head off to the well, maybe chit chat with some girlfriends along the way. Like this. So God had already sent her before the servant prayed. And it's funny because, God knows what we need before we even pray for it. We pray for it because we trust God and he wants us to pray to him. But this point was very striking to me that he had already prepared all this, knowing, one, what Isaac needed, two, what the servant was going to pray for, and three, what was going to happen with Rebekah and Isaac. God had already, that was already in his rearview mirror, right? But here, the servant of Abraham said, before I finished praying in my heart, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. So our perspective is, oh, God answered my prayer. But the interesting thing is, I think sometimes I forget it, at least, that God answers the prayer long before we even pray it. He prepares the way. Something to think about, something to be in awe of. I'm always in awe when I learn these things, or when I read the Bible and I stumble across these things. I'm always in awe of God's, just not his power and all that, because he is our all-seeing, all-knowing God and all that, but just the down to the detail. She had, like I said, she got up that morning, went, I'm going to go get water. Or maybe it was her habit already, but it's like the timing was perfection because it was God's timing. And it always blows me away. I don't know if you notice these little things when you're reading the Bible. I get the big story, but sometimes if you just stop and think of all that went in to make what we would say, jokingly, the stars align, although the stars aligning have nothing to do with it. But if we think about how much has to line up for these prayers to be answered, God's already started that. It was like, that was on his to-do list. Check, it's done. We're not going to know about it till later. We're not going to pray about it till later, but he's already like, yeah, moving on. It's just, I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe of his grace and power and attention to detail in our lives. Okay, that's all I wanted to share with you. Have a great day. Bye.